Hi, everybody. My name is Danielle Carter, and I am the Youth Engagement Coordinator here at the Seattle Aquarium. And we are here celebrating the aquarium's virtual Earth Action Week. And we have one of our youth ocean advocates, Ruby, here to talk with us today. Hi, Ruby.
Hello. Yeah, so I'm Ruby. I've been a YOA for just over a year. I'm a sophomore at Garfield, and I'm really pumped to be here. Happy Earth Week.
Yay, happy Earth Week. I'm excited that you wanted to chat today. I know
Yeah,
you are a huge fan of the environment and
yeah,
helping the environment. Um, so do you want to share with us like how you became interested in helping the environment?
yeah. So I got interested in helping the environment in around 8th grade. I got really lucky and I went on a trip to Costa Rica, and it was an eco tour. And we did all kinds of things, but I think the most incredible thing for me about that trip was how we took a tour across the countryside and we got to see all these different really unique ecosystems. So we got to see the cloud mountains and we got to see the ocean, and it became really clear to me how exciting everything, like, I guess my worldview just really expanded. And when I got back, I started thinking about how urgent things really are, and I guess it kind of unfolded from there. Yeah. And I think what really kept me into environmentalism is all the different perspectives that you hear and all the new ideas and innovation that everyone has, and how everyone's coming from a different direction for one goal that everyone's passionate about. And that's just really exciting to me. Yeah.
That's awesome. I have not been to Costa Rica before, and that sounds like an amazing opportunity that you had
Yeah.
to get you thinking about these things. And I'm guessing that wasn't kind of the goal of your trip. You probably didn't think that you were going to come back from Costa Rica
I
caring
did.
more about the environment.
Yeah, it was a trip for Spanish class, and I can't say that I got that much more into Spanish.
That's awesome. But you got something else out of it that it seems like it's kind of shaping what you're doing now.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty soon after that, going into high school, I meet some new people, and so I decided to join the school environmental club, and it's so fun. And it was really funny because I got so into it that my whole first year of being on Green Team, I went to every single officer meeting, so every leadership meeting, as well as every like club meeting. And I was just really, really into it. And because these people learned so much so quickly, and they were so passionate about what they were doing, and they had such incredible ideas, like starting the composting program in the lunchroom and in classrooms. And it showed me how big of a difference you can make and how important it is that young people are speaking up. It's really incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, Ruby. So it sounds like you, when you started high school, you found out about this green team thing at your school, which sounds amazing. And then how'd you find out about the aquariums volunteer program?
Yeah, so I found out about the aquarium. I was just looking online for different opportunities, and I stumbled across the aquarium, and I was like, that looks interesting, but I don't know if I'm quite there yet. And then a little bit later, I met a girl on the school volleyball team actually, and she was really involved in the aquarium, and she convinced me to interview, and I just immediately fell in love with the program. And I think definitely initially it was because of how welcoming everybody was and how everyone was so encouraging. And I think that one thing that's so special about the Youth Ocean Advocate program is how welcoming everyone is, because that really allows for you to pursue what you're interested in. And I've been thinking a lot about that lately. I've been thinking about how important it is as someone who's using their voice and working to help the environment, how important it is to know your motivation and what drives you. And no one can really decide that for you. You have to spend hours and hours learning about different things and finding out what you're interested in. And I think that's the most important thing to know about yourself as an environmentalist. What drives you, and what do you want to fight for?
Oh, that's great. And that's one thing, just hearing you describe kind of the program and how to find your path and your motivation is what drew me to the program as well. Because I
Yeah,
love that it's called the Youth Ocean Advocates. It's not just, hey, hi, we're high school volunteers and we're doing things at the aquarium. You all actually take your passion and drive it further and get what you want to get out of it and do some really amazing things.
yeah. And I just love being in a program where I hear all about these incredible things people are doing, and it makes me think that I can do all those things too. And I never thought that I would have gone this far, and I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it without the program.
That's awesome to hear. And so what are some things that you do to help the environment? Like I would say on a daily basis. I know we're in some weird times right now, so maybe you're doing things a little bit different, but I guess what were you doing before 2020 to help the environment? And then kind of what are you doing now while you're at home?
I think it's one of the most important things you can do is building that community, and right now it's especially hard. Um, but you right now you really have to make that effort, because connecting to people is how you inspire other people to make change. And there's a lot of ways to do that, but just making that effort and reaching out to people is really important. And as important as reaching out to other people is communicating with yourself and educating yourself, learning about the most effective ways to make a difference, not necessarily the most popular, and what values do you think we should carry when we talk about the climate crisis and all of these issues. Um, so I think that we're in a really interesting time right now where we can really reassess the way that everything is unfolding. Um, Especially, you see a lot of news now with all these lockdowns, like the smog is lifting and animals are taking back parks. And I think it's just a really beautiful time to, through all of this hardship, kind of reassess what we value as a society and kind of take that with us as we come out of quarantine. Because I think one of the things that I'm fighting for right now is not letting things go back to the way that they were. We're always evolving, and we just have to make the effort to adapt to this.
Thanks, Ruby. That was great. Now, you talked a lot about what you're doing and how you got involved. But do you have any advice for people who are sitting at home right now with a lot of time on their hands, maybe, and they want to learn more about how to help the earth, how to help the animals, how to help the ecosystems? You seem like you have a pretty good handle on it. Do you want to share some advice?
Yeah, so I think along with educating yourself, it's really important to reach out to your representatives and your community. And it can be really intimidating. I definitely get that, especially with how convoluted policy is. But I think that once you get started and once you make your voice heard, that's the most important step, because the government, the people in the government work for you. And it's really, I have to remind myself that all the time, because it feels like, I think that once you find what you think is important to fight for, it's really easy to get along that path of getting involved in policy and getting involved in different organizations and communities that are about that, because once you know what really drives you and inspires you, it just comes really naturally to need to talk about that, bring it up in conversation, find different events where people are talking about that, tell people who are in the government, who tell your representatives that you care about it, and it may not feel like that's what's going to make the difference, but starting the conversation is half of it.
And that's usually the hardest part. At least it's hard for me, but it's hard for a lot of people too. It's just starting the conversation is the hardest thing. But once you get started, it's a lot better.
Definitely. I think that when you feel like you're in a dead-end conversation, or you're just talking to somebody and you're not sure if you're listening, the goal is just to make them that much more curious. Maybe they'll go home and they'll think, that's interesting. What was she talking about? And just unleashing people's curiosity and increasing people's awareness about these different issues is really, really important.
No, I think that's good though, because curiosity is probably why we're all interested in the ocean and the environment and the things we do with the aquarium, because we want to learn more, right? So if when you're talking to your policymakers, if you just get them kind of curious and questioning what you're asking, it might inspire them to look into it more.
One important thing that I want to leave people with out of this is that we don't have to think about battling the climate crisis as this, like, really, well, we don't have to think about battling the climate crisis as a burden, because once we do adapt to a sustainable lifestyle, then our quality of life will increase so much. And everything, our quality of life will increase so much, and everything will evolve so that we become more compassionate stewards of the planet. And it won't take away from our success. It will only add to it.
I think that's a great piece of advice, because I do hear it a lot, that people hear this crisis that we're in, this climate crisis, and they think we need all these huge giant steps to change it, which we do, but it all starts with us trying something small at home and committing to something. And then, like you said, realizing that what we're doing to help shouldn't be a sacrifice for us, right? It should, like you said, enhance our lives in the end.
And that small scale change of our mindsets will make such a big difference. And if that spreads, that will be what changes everything.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thanks, Ruby, for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I hope that we can all be back at the aquarium very soon.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
Yep. Okay. Bye, everybody.